But yeah, I think that this is what you're referencing, right? Andrew Tate and all of Andrew Tate's like wannabe clones have genuinely taken advantage of a marketplace of like children that they have groomed into being somehow more fucking annoying. Because like children are children, you know what I mean? They're very malleable, they're very impressionable, and they do have a streak in them where they can potentially advocate for terrible, stupid, silly shit. But here's the outcome of that.
Andrew Tate! Fuck the woman! Fuck the woman!
What? No.
Fuck the women, fuck the women. And like you could tell, like these are children. I mean, they're obviously like 10, right? But also like you can tell that this is just like he's saying this because he thinks like Sneako's gonna love it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're just like you, Dad. I'm trying to be just like you, Dad. You know, fuck the women, right? That's what you like, right?
No, wait. We love women. We love women.
But not like transgenders.
Yes, sir.
And then his response is like, okay, maybe we love women, but like not like transgenders, right? And it's like, bro, what are you talking about? You're like literally a baby, okay? You're a fucking baby. The fuck do you mean? They blurt out exactly what they take out of their content. Exactly. Of course, like, you think these kids are actually like, they have a well-defined worldview where they're like, yeah, I really thought about this gender stuff and I decided that it's like nonsensical. Like, no, he's just repeating what Sneako and Andrew Tate and all these other motherfuckers are saying. You know what I mean? That's it. And it's really fucked up because, you know, these guys are very deliberately crafting their messaging towards a much younger audience in this regard. And I don't know. I mean,
we love everybody. No.
All gays should die.
Yeah.
Ian, you said iDubbbz had this very moment, and that was like a defining moment for him. Okay, that was a defining moment for iDubbbz that like made him realize that this exact fan moment caught on camera between him and Sneako, the fans and Sneako, happened to iDubbbz, where he was like, oh man, this is like what my output is. Like, this is who the people I attract are like. The difference is it took iDubbbz years to like come to terms with that and change it. Okay? I don't think Sneako gives a shit. I think Sneako loves that. He doesn't give a fuck. He just wants money. Like, he wants money. He wants clout. He likes the content that automatically is created out of this. He's not, I don't think he's like genuinely interested in introspection and like taking a deep breath and turning around and going, you know, I'm going to, Ian never said this though. Oh yeah. He doesn't care. He posted. Look at Little Bro's cope response. Yeah, I mean, his presence is a net negative. Look at Little Bro's cope response to the situation. Sneako's presence has been nothing but a net negative on society. They are children, obviously joking. This is how I was at 12. But if it sounds egregious to you, blame the rainbow flags in their classrooms. Blame the media for emasculating men. It's your fault for forcing an obvious agenda, not these kids. Boys will be boys. It's fucking nutty, dude. It's like, boys will be boys. First of all, Sneako, when he was this age, was talking about how like America should not be interfering in Middle Eastern countries. Okay, Sneako at this age, unironically, was like better than he is now. So he has devolved. Okay, he was making Call of Duty videos while talking about how like, why is America's military interventionist policy so devastating to the rest of the planet? You know what I mean? And also like they're emasculating men. Like, what do you mean? These are like little kids. Like, what? They're not. They are nowhere near a level of comprehension. They haven't well defined what kind of men they're going to be. And this is a very malleable time. It's a very important time for their development. And it's clear that like unfettered, unrestricted, unregulated access to shit like fucking Sneako and Andrew Tate and all these other dipshits online is genuinely shaping them to become little fucking demons. And I don't mean like, oh, they're demons because like they're going to be so scary and they're going to be fucking, they're going to be saying stuff that triggers me. Like, that's not even what I mean. They're just going to be like fucking assholes, you know? And that sucks. Hopefully, because they're so young, they will maybe snap out of it, as many have, right? There are many, even in this community, that were also unpleasant little gremlins who listened to like Sargon of Akkad or whatever and loved the spirit of debate and sophistry. And then they turned around and grew the fuck up and started defining their ideology, their worldview. Everyone goes through, like, a lot of people go through their own like little edgy phase, and it's fine. There's a lot of like, like social cohesion that happens in this situation as well. But, you know, this is like, you keep behaving like this when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, well into your 20s, you are on a spaceship to be just like the stinkiest loser, for the record.
Merch, preach.
What have I done?
Can I get in the video? Fucking talk. Can I get in the video?
Yeah. Talk to him.
Yo, what's up?
I mean, they're kids. They're little kids. Like, I'm not going to dunk on little kids too hard. One of them literally says, like, kill the gays or some shit. What the fuck?
Fuck the woman. Fuck the woman.
What? No, wait. We love women. We love women.
But not like transgenders.
Yes, sir. We love everybody.
Yeah, the other one goes like, what does he say? Kill the gays? Fuck the gays? What
Love everybody.
Anyway, it's just sad, man. Who said fuck ass Bob? I mean, dude, you want to know how fucking like, yeah, this is kid shit, okay? Look at their goddamn haircuts, bro. This is literally like, keep going is after.
Not like transgenders.
Yes, sir. We love everybody. No.
All gays should die. Yeah, merch, preach.
I can't. I know girls can have the capacity to be edgy, but what about young boys that cause them to have an awful edgy phase? Don't roast the hair because their moms gave them. That's what I mean. Like, that's how you know these are little children, because, like, look how fucked up their hair is. That tweet is fucked up. He actually says at the end, like, what have I done? And I kind of had hope. Of course, you don't dunk on the kids. Nico's the asshole here. No, when he says, what have I done? He doesn't give a shit, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? He's just, like, making content, okay? Like, you think he has a conscience? Like, what are you, crazy? No, he's still smiling through it all. You want to know why? Because he has no self-reflection. Like, he doesn't have the capacity to fucking feel bad about what he's doing. He's like, yeah, these kids are literally dollar signs, okay? Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. It's just views, okay? All four of those kids are just fucking 4 extra views. More up, dog. Thank you for the 5 gifted. And all Sheldon, thank you for the 5 gifted. Don't know his shit. Really just saw this video on Twitter today. I personally make an effort not to cover his, stinky nonsense for the most part. Like, that entire world of content is so, like, a deep, dark pit of despair for the most part. It's just like dudes putting themselves in, like, horrible situations on purpose, constantly fake fighting. I see it all the time on my fucking timeline. It just doesn't interest me. I don't know. Maybe it's interesting to you guys. You know, to each their own, I guess. I don't really like it. It's also people just like, I don't know, going through like mental health episodes that also turns into content. You know what I mean? I work at a middle school, and it's ridiculous what these kids are watching at the top of the hour. Oh, fuck you. Their parents have no idea. Yeah, they're watching the HasanAbi broadcast ads at the top of the hour because there's a 3-minute ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. God damn it. For $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. The worst part about it is that, like, this kind of coverage, like this kind of shit, literally will turn into more support from all the worst losers. You know what I mean? All the fucking worst losers who will look to this and go, oh, look, all the gays hate him. All the people that we hate are hating on Sneeko, so he must be good. Like, oh, I hate Hasan, and that's why, like, he's probably good then. He's even better. You know what I mean? I don't even like the cuck shit, but, like, turns out, like, Hasan hates him, so I like him. That kind of thing. You know what I mean? And, it's just, I don't know. Sent this to my right-wing buddy, said those kids are based. That's what I'm, bro, you're literally at that point, like, openly admitting that you have the brain processing power of a 12-year-old, okay? Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break now. If you no longer want to see them, you can subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get 1 free Prime subscription, okay? Here's the 3-minute ad break now. I don't know, man. It just makes me sad. It does make me fucking super sad to see. Hopefully it's just not like, I don't know. Hopefully it's not it's not permanent. You know what I mean? I open stream, I see Sneeko. I know I will be disappointed at what is being talked about. Yeah. I have faith most of them will meet people in college and grow out of it. So many guys my age, 20, 25, were dipshits back in middle high school and became kind people after broadening their life experience. Yeah. It's just like it happened so fast. Like Donald Trump being this like beacon of every liberal, progressive, socialist, and even like moderate that despised his behavior, created a counterforce in American society that for a brief moment made people believe the false notion that America was way more progressive than it actually was, at least in like online spaces. Whereas this is the counterbalance of that. This is like the pendulum swinging in the other direction, where now that it's like Joe Brandon and we're doing business as usual politics, people are no longer interested in politics. People are back to, you know, eating brunch and finding other new avenues to direct their anger towards. And that's why, as I called out immediately as soon as Joe Brandon was elected, that there was going to be like another revitalization of the anti-SJW era. Now, the former anti-SJW era in like the second term of the Obama administration was way more like, we love intellectually stimulating conversations. Like they all wanted to debate, and they all wanted to like present themselves as like intellectual beacons. And this era of anti-SJW content, which by the way they weren't, for the record, even back then, this kind of anti-SJW era is not like that at all. This is more like, no, you're a clown. I'm stupid. I don't give a shit that I'm stupid. Everyone can make fun of me, but at least they're watching me. I'm a clown. I'm a cuck. But ultimately, I can always just like be a clown and a cuck, and like everyone can dunk on me, but like I can say fuck trans people, and then there will be plenty of people who will turn around and offer support to me. Drives me insane that people think schools are ruining their Fortnite playing little dipshit kids and have no idea all these kids who haven't even hit puberty are watching Kick and learning about legitimate concerning views towards sex, etc. Yeah, exactly. It's not like it's not your school that's like fucking your kids up, okay? It's this shit. It's this shit partnered up with the reality that you're not talking to your dipshit kids, you know? An insidious threat of ignorance has woven its way across America that convinces people that their ignorance is as good as my education. Yes. And if you bring up your education, then you're an elitist piece of shit. Okay? And there are significantly more dumb people than there are intelligent, kind, thoughtful individuals. So you can always relish in the masses, being like, yeah, if nobody's got me, the masses got me. And there's no real interest in like even portraying yourself, or at least having like the decency to shut the fuck up if you don't know what you're talking about. And ultimately, as long as like a trans person says you're bad, then, you know, fuck them, right? Like you will immediately be able to develop a following. Alejandra Carballo said, saying all gays should die is not a joke. Excusing your role in influencing these boys by blaming pride flags and everyone else is beyond pathetic. At least have the courage to own your own hate instead of blaming the subjects of it, you absolute coward. What Sneeko's doing here is a lame attempt at ironic hate. Relax, it's just a joke, bro. If you're offended, it's your own fault. I watched a generation of millennials get radicalized on forums like 4chan with this ironic hate. It's the same thing, but on a bigger scale. And like, the thing is, it's all over now. It's not just 4chan. It's not just poll. It's all over. You got Discord servers to be like as hyper niche and as esoteric as you want to be. It's all over Reddit. It's all over Twitter. And it's all over Kick. And what's going on is like a lot of people don't realize that this actually is really bad on your psyche. Like there's a legitimate change that harms you as well. It's not necessarily just, you're just having a little bit of fun without realizing it. When you lean into that, when you lean into those circles and you engage in like the vice signaling that comes along with it, like you're basically conditioning yourself into being a bad person. And before you know it, you're so desperate for that echo chamber to like you that you constantly increase. You raise the stakes, and you're looking for new people to shit on. You're trying to prove to your own community in these circles that you're like a real one. You know what I mean? You're real. And then you become the fucking 4chan loser who gets arrested for consistently issuing death threats against the sheriff in Florida. You know what I mean? And then you get arrested and there's body camera footage of your crusty ass fucking basement dwelling that, as the cops arrest you, that everybody sees. It's very sad. Very sad. And frankly, I think that I am a decent counter to that sort of thing, but the people recognize that, like the content creators in this space recognize that, so they use every opportunity they can to be like, no, he's actually a pussy, I swear, like, look, he paints his nails or he wears a dress, like that's gay, that's lame. And like most people, especially when they're young, don't recognize how they're projecting their own insecurities. Like, yeah, if you're a confident person, you can wear a dress. Like, who gives a shit? Like, I'm confident in my sexuality. I'm confident in my gender expression that, like, I don't give a shit. I'll cross-dress, I'll still look fucking more svelte than you or your daddy. You know what I mean? But it doesn't matter. So I'm saying, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Anyway. Where'd you go? So, it's sad. Yeah. The old times I do remember, now it's cold times, it's jacket weather. Damn. Life could be a stone cold killer, but at the same time, I'm glad I met her. Yeah, I went through some rough patches, but now I'm glad I'm better. Could've went mad like Arthur Fleck, back then I had the baddest. Yes and no. We'll talk about that in a second. Do you think they see you as a threat to a project they're trying to achieve, or do they see you as a threat to viewers' income? I think they see me as a good counter. Everybody needs a good villain. And I present myself as a great villain because the foundation that I'm standing on is always going to be on shaky ground, because leftists are fucking losers who can't just like stay the course. And they think that it's actually intellectually better to consistently engage in self-crit and crit to a degree that like causes them to lose out on the grander picture. One of the greatest examples that I have used in the past, as you guys know, is like he's got money. He's a socialist with money. That's hypocritical. And it's not just right wingers who say that. There's also liberals and left wingers who say that too. So, like, think about the way that people rally around the flag when it's even like someone who has made socialist commentary their entire lives, who suspiciously made a right-wing turn a couple years back. Russell Brand. As soon as he did a right-wing turn and started talking about like being a vaccine skeptic and talking about how like Obama may have murdered someone and you know, all this shit, it don't matter if there's a comprehensive investigation into like sexual misconduct, including like raping a 16-year-old. They immediately go, nah, fuck that. Because that's what the right does. The right immediately went, nope, that's our guy. We're defending him. It doesn't matter. Okay? Now, obviously, I'm not expecting that from the left. That would be fucking insane. I'm not expecting anybody to compromise on their values. But there's an unfortunate reality that, like, the left has a lot of diversity in thought and is constantly infighting. And they do it in a way that absolutely is anti-solidarity and goes against any kind of like movement building. It is what it is. It's something that I've tried to avoid and something that I've like worked against desperately over the course of the many years that I've built this community. But that doesn't change the reality that like people will still inevitably fall on traps. Like I can say anything I want. Here's one example of this, okay? Without getting too far into this. Isn't that mostly online, though? Yeah, absolutely. But it does have some impact. It does have some impact. Do you mean liberal left or actual left? I mean, it doesn't matter. Even the actual left has genuine disagreements, right? The example I will give you is this. Leftist communities are profoundly easy to infiltrate because all you need to do is, like, drive discourse in a direction where you're engaging in criticism by, like, acting like you care about the values that you are espousing in that very moment. This is precisely the reason why, in many instances, rad libs can be cancerous to discourse and community building and movement building by immediately saying, well, what about my self-centered desires? These workers are striking, but like, have you thought about my personal interest in the matter? Something I've talked about before is like the person that tweeted out a while back, if you recall, which happens still to this day in different ways, where someone will go, oh, workers are striking at the Kellogg's factory, but I have a disability where I have to eat Kellogg's Frosted Flake cereal because I have an eating disorder, and you guys are being real fucking pieces of shit. Like, that is narcissistic, it's self-centered, it's silly, it's anti-leftist, but it doesn't matter. Because it sounds progressive, right? People do that all the time. An example I will give you is this. An example I will give you is, for example, China and Taiwan, okay? The people of Taiwan have a right to self-determination, certainly, okay? Of course they do. But ultimately, when I talk about China or Taiwan, every single person on the opposing side of the argument will immediately rush to be like, Hasan wants everyone to be genocided in Taiwan. He wants them to be killed. He wants them to be murdered. He doesn't want anything. He just wants them to not have any kind of self-determinance whatsoever, and immediately turn around and start talking about justifications as to why America should continue its intervention. Okay? Meanwhile, the very same State Department has always said the exact same fucking thing, that Taiwan is just a part of China, okay? That they will protect it, but it's still a part of China. That was America's perspective since the Nixon era of normalizing relations with China. The prior perspective up to that point was that Taiwan is actually the true China and mainland China belongs to Taiwan, okay? Now, my opinion on the matter is, outside of what Taiwanese right to self-determination and independence, why the fuck why is the American State Department involved? Why is America acting like they genuinely care about the interest of people in Taiwan? Why? And if they do, why have they always towed the line of strategic ambiguity, which is just lying for the most part? Why are they doing that? Like, it's very frustrating that people immediately run along and defend America's interests all over the fucking world, and it is deeply frustrating for me. I do not like that at all. Okay? To be fair, on Leftovers, you mixed up the one China policy with the one country, two systems, making it hard to understand your point. I know you're being careful on the pod, but I think the conversation could have been handled better last week. Yeah? How would you have handled that conversation? Everybody always loves shadow boxing in the bathroom when they're in the shower, when they think like, oh, dude, I would have done such a good job. I would have converted Ethan immediately. Ethan would be literally moving to fucking Beijing. You know? No, man. No, it's like I'm having a conversation with my co-host and I'm trying to keep it as amicable as possible. Okay? I'm not trying to engage in rhetorical tricks that will make me look like an awesome debater in that situation. If you want to see me operate like that, okay? If you want to see me operate in a similar capacity where I am actually trying to outmaneuver or overpower my interlocutor, go watch any fucking debate I have with a right-winger, okay? That's it. There's a reason why everyone goes, oh my God, like Hasan fucking popped off against Andrew Tate. What the fuck? Like, it's not just because Andrew Tate is stupid, which he is, okay? But it's also because I have no interest in like trying to have an earnest and honest conversation in that situation. I'm trying to show everyone how fucking stupid he is. I'm just annoyed at how Ethan doesn't have the same restraint on his way to talk to you. It's okay. I think Ethan has become a wonderful debater over the course of many, many years. And I think, like, in his mind, he's also most likely holding back, okay, that he could go way harder. And ultimately, it's just two adults having a conversation with one another, which is not, like, it can't just stay as a conversation. It has to be so much more. It has to be that I'm a tanky and I'm in the pocket of CCP, or I'm also in the pocket of Russia, and I love Vladimir Putin. It's just very frustrating. Now, normally, it would be fine if people just kind of said that and nobody believed it. The issue is, and we go back to the leftist communities and leftist spaces in general and how easily infiltrated they are. Because people do hear that and they go, wait a minute, maybe I didn't know something about Hasan that I just found out. Maybe he is a massive defender of Russia. Maybe he is a massive defender of CCP. Okay? He must be a tanky. And it's like people that have never actually heard that term are being introduced to it for the first time and going, oh yeah, he's a bad guy actually. He's a bad guy. I know now. Because everyone else is saying it. Okay? The inverse of this also, and this is due to people being extremely online, exists in the criticisms of Ethan as well. People being like, you're like a business owner, which means you're like a bad guy automatically. It's like Ethan, when compared to when compared to like the average regular American progressive Democrat, self-defined Democrat, is infinitely more empathetic to and infinitely more reasonable to the plight of workers in this country. Okay? It's very, very silly to just like look at the conversation between him and Dan and be like, and make assertions beyond it, like he's enslaving them or whatever the fuck. And it's very frustrating. It's extremely hilarious, and people who defended and raised money for you call you a tanky. Who you defended and raised money for you call you a tanky. Yeah, I don't really care. That word is completely meaningless. Okay? So, that's it. But unfortunately, this makes it just bring up Ethan's take on cops to see how much more empathetic than a Dem or Lib he is. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Ethan is the type of person we can push over time. And also, like, you don't even have to, like, convert him into being a socialist or anything. That's not, like... A lot of people also make this mistake as well, and I see this online. They're like, oh, you're going to change him. You're going to change him. You're going to convert him into socialism. It's like like, that's not... My end goal is infinitely more realistic, I think, than a lot of other people, where I do run the why make perfect an enemy of good. Okay? Ethan is a great ally. We have, in the short term, even in the most realistic senses, Ethan and I have the exact same interests in America's future. Okay? Plenty of people who call themselves liberals online also have the exact same interest. So this is precisely the reason why, while there are plenty of other people in other communities that relish in, like, making mountains out of molehills in the form of like marginal differences in opinion, turning them into massively consequential points of contention, I choose to never talk about that sort of shit. And it's not because I am so scared of being intellectually outpaced or outmatched or destroyed in the marketplace of ideas or whatever the fuck people may say. It's because I'm doing it for the benefit of everyone else. I'm doing it because I don't give a fuck about having random internet debates with other content creators who I should ostensibly be on the same side on issues on. That's it. That's why I only talk about fucking Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and numerous other right-wing charlatans, because that is a target-rich environment with plenty of actual commentators who have legitimate influential power. Okay? I hope everybody understands that that is the major reason as to why I don't give a shit about covering the minutia of online discourse in the supposed leftist bread tube, YouTube, debate lord, ecosystem. That's it. That's the major reason. Anyway. So, Ethan was kind of out of pocket for that. That's all I got to say. I don't even know what Ethan was out of pocket for. I didn't even watch the entire conversation between him and Dan. I can't speak on it. But I'm willing to bet that if I watched the whole thing, honestly, I would not consider any of his fucking response to be all that out of pocket. I don't care to, I love having reasonable discussions with people who I agree with, okay? I hate what it turns into, because I do legitimately feel like that, like not letting something sit as just like simple conversations over disagreements, not letting it just stay that and turning it into something much larger is deeply frustrating and unproductive. A lot of leftists online don't get past the liberalism aesthetics and hang on to a word someone says instead of what they're trying to say. That is my view, at least. Oh, 100%. In most situations, a lack of attempt to persuade others is perceived as a lack of confidence in your own position. So if you're really trying to do something that contradicts trying to persuade them, it's hard for people to accept that. People's intuition says it's being evasive instead. Yeah, I guess I would admit that I am being evasive in that regard, because I have no interest in, like, turning Ethan into a fucking Maoist third worldist. I don't. He's a fucking adult. Ethan and I are in agreement on a fuck ton of things, especially as it pertains to domestic policy. He's also, I think, in my opinion, way more open-minded towards an alternative view on America's foreign policy propaganda. So overall, it's like, you know, he's a great ally. You know? Oh, this 100% proves your point. The CIA can read Marx better than tankies? What? Ugh. The CIA believed that Marxism had little in common to do with Leninism? What? The ideological element. The Soviets called their ideology Marxism-Leninism, but it should be called simply Leninism. Marx, after all, predicted that the working class would revolt against the ruling bourgeoisie, establish a dictatorship of the working class, not of an individual or small group, and after eliminating other classes. Why? This is... Are you fucking serious, chatter, who sent this to me? The CIA is actually very good at analyzing the USSR and like their life expectancy, things of that, their diet, whatever. But ultimately, this probably, I assume, is going to be a really silly assessment. Brotherly love and cooperation without needing government or repressive instruments. In fact, the state itself would wither away. Oh wow. So a transitional socialist state is just non-existent. It happens immediately, magically overnight. Got it. They're saying they didn't immediately create anarcho-communism, which is really silly. That's awesome. Without needing the government or repressive, in fact, the state itself would wither away and no longer be necessary. This vision, though fundamentally flawed in itself, had nothing to do in common with the Bolshevik Revolution and the regime it established, a regime which controls the working class rather than being controlled by it, and which built the most awesome instruments of repression in human history along with enormous bureaucratic state. It was Lenin's adaptations, some would say distortions of Marxist philosophy, which created the ideological basis of the Soviet state. Lenin, seeing that the working class in Russia was a small and unorganized, postulated that a small number of intellectuals and working and professional revolutionaries were the vanguard of the working class and could act in and of its name. Therefore, it created an elite party which arrogated to itself the right to determine the true interests of the workers and to rule the country on their behalf. And what is more, he established a structure of authority and discipline in the elite party itself so that it could be controlled from the top. This was the structure which Stalin inherited and Mao Zedong borrowed for China, which provided the instruments for the most repressive regimes mankind has known. The most repressive regimes mankind has known is such a funny thing from the motherfucking CIA. Yeah, this is an idiotic assessment of Lenin. This is like if you read State and Revolution, but only the Spark Notes. What's the alternative to a vanguard? A collective and spontaneous conversion to communism? Yeah. The CIA and anarchists love fucking doing an Ouroboros of dick sucking back and forth, where it's like, where I don't know, excuse me, sir, it doesn't seem like the state withered away. Yeah, I wonder why it didn't fucking wither away, dog. What do you mean? How do you raise like productive forces without any kind of central planning? Like, what do you think? Like, you think the USSR was supposed to be fucking an anarchist formation, like a collection of tribes or something? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? There were plenty of issues with the USSR, but it's ridiculous to be like different kind of state development was actually wrong and bad. Every time I have a comment with a lib friend of mine about you, he consistently latches onto your sentiments on China putting himself on a moral high ground in defense of Taiwan. Yeah, dude. China engaging in even development and eviscerating extreme poverty at the global level has absolutely zero to do with fucking Taiwan or my assessment of Taiwan or China's opinion on Taiwan or anything like that. But Americans, as always, love fucking acting like they give a single shred of a shit, and people get really frustrated when I mention this. Americans love talking about countries that America suspiciously also has a foreign policy interest in, and then they openly will tell why they care about these countries and the foreign policy goals that they have for said countries, and they will leave it behind. They will leave the death and destruction behind by disrupting a delicate balance that has been in place. Okay? That's it. That is the entire purpose of. Is my favorite part when they bring up Taiwan being Taiwanese? Wait, you mean like people that have like lived in Taiwan as Americans will be like, oh, I care about the Taiwanese. It's like, listen, you can't look at what's going on in Ukraine. Okay, well, there's two different ways of looking at what's going on in Ukraine. One, you think like, no, Russia is bloodthirsty, genocidal, which, by the way, Vladimir Putin is stupid and certainly interested in exercising awesome military power that he literally does not fucking have. He means he's Taiwanese idiot. No, I got that part. It's when white supremacists will bring up Taiwan. Oh yeah. It is